Hi everybody, so I'm just back with a small review of the FTX Mini Outback 2.0. Also, it's called the Hobby Plus 1 to 24th scale. It's the same thing, just different branding. I've had it 3 weeks, I think now. Done various running with it in the house, outside in the garden, as you can see from a couple of my previous videos. And I've also done a variety of upgrades and modifications to it. So I just thought I'd do a quick... I've had a few questions, messages to us and comments, asking what I think of certain things, so I just thought I'd give you a quick bit of feedback, what I think's worth it, what's not, etc. But overall, when I first got it, this is my first ever crawling side of things in the RC world. Literally just bought it for something to do, as I've said before, and it really impressed us out the box. It's just a good bit of fun. Being so small, anything's a little challenge for it. You can make stuff up with all, DVDs, books, objects lying about the house. If you've got a garden, any little sort of stone features and anything, just even driving it across the grass is a little bit of a challenge. So you can make a good track up in a small amount of space. So overall, the truck itself out the box is great. It looks good. I've done a couple of small cosmetic changes, took some stickers off, moved the spare wheel, painted the arches, put a little bit of string on the front for a pretendy winch, painted the diff so it looks like it's got diff covers on it, but that's about it really, cosmetic wise. But when I first got it, I used it for ages, and couldn't fault it really. Just good bit of fun. Like a lot in the hobby, myself, I can't leave things alone, and I've got to upgrade them, make them better, change them, that sort of thing. It's what I do. Do waste a lot of money doing that at the same time. But, yeah, so as with these, as we all know, the drive shafts are a weak spot. The little cross pins plastic, it just gives out. I got 3 days out of mine, or 2 days before one gave out. Fixed it with a bit of wire, copper wire, drilled it, put a bit of copper wire in, great. Then another one went, fixed that. Then another one went, I fixed that. And by this time I'd already ordered these shafts, and the only reason I ordered these shafts was because there was no metal cross pins left from Banggood. There was none in the UK, so I ordered these off Asia Tees. Along with that, I ordered, I'll take the shell off, just turn it off. Along with that, I ordered the alloy shocks, as I've done in a previous video, showed you them fitting them. And I also ordered these wheels. These are off an RGT, similar scale. They're black design, bogger style trade, more aggressive, softer compound, no foam insert, not a bead lock, so you can't take them off. I wouldn't bother with them. If you want it to look different, yeah, they're a cheap, they were like £6 or something like that. Cheap little thing to make it look different, but performance wise it doesn't perform any better. If anything, maybe it's a little bit worse after a bit more testing, because the tyre's so soft and it flexes so much. It hinders the truck. It's not I'm not saying freewheeling, but there's a lot more stress on it, on the drivetrain, and it just doesn't seem to, I don't know. Back-to-back testing, I wouldn't bother with them unless you want it to look differently. You can get that tyre for the original wheel, but again, I don't think anybody's got them at this time of filming. Right, shock absorbers, they're a bit of bling. Once you've put a bit of grease inside them, they do operate a bit better. They are a little bit rough. You can raise the ride height with them, obviously with them being progressive, with the collar being adjustable. I think that's a little bit of a help. It stops it twisting up as easy. Were they worth 16 quid? No, not at all. If you want it to look good, great. Fit them by all means, but performance wise, wouldn't bother. Save your money. Same with the shafts. I don't have experience of putting the cross pin into the original plastic shafts. I'm probably going to do that because these have got so much slop in them. As I've said, that the outdrives on the transmission are like a D shape, a half moon, and the drive shafts should match that. The plastic ones do. These don't. They're just open. You put them on, you put the screw in, and I don't know if you can see that, but the movement, there's a lot of movement in it, and it just makes it it's not smooth. It judders. I'll quickly put it on and show you, and it does make it harder for when you're trying to get over certain obstacles at a low speed. So if I just, I'm not sure if that's in the view or not, but if I go as slow as I can, doesn't seem to be doing it as bad there because this is a smooth surface, but it's not a consistent. You can sort of hear it in the video, it's like on off, on off, on off, and that's just because of all the play in the shafts. That and the actual transmission of the vehicle. There, you can hear that. Yeah, anyway, you get the idea. There is a lot of play in the plastics of the transmission inside the gearbox, in the diffs when you've got the shafts off. There's a lot of movement. I mean, you can see all that movement there before anything. That's just free play. It's the same in the back. It's just, that's a lot to do with the shafts and the play in the transmission. It'll obviously get worse the more you use it, and they're only cheap. They're just cheap plastic things, so it's to be expected. You could look into shimming diffs and shimming gearboxes to try and lose a bit of the play, but how far do you go with something like this? Next thing is what I've done in a previous video is I fitted that. If you can see that, it's the FTX 9349. It's the power upgrade, different servo, different speed controller, individual receiver, different motor. Again, I put a bit of a video together with this. Again, it's after a bit more running, steering is loads better. You've got more torque and more power, but it's not the servo, it's the power coming from the AC. It's obviously got a better beck. It's putting more voltage into that from the original combined receiver speed controller. So I think that's the only reason why you're getting more power out of the servo, because they both say 1 kilogram on them, that one and the original one I took out. The motor, I don't know what turn it is. There's talk of, I heard at first that the original motor in the car is a 57 turn and the upgrade is an 88. And then I've heard other people saying that the original motor is around 80 and the upgrade is 100 turn. Don't know, I'm not sure. I've tried to find out, I can't find out. I'm not that bothered really. After some testing, I've ended up with the upgrade kit minus the motor. I've put the original low turn motor in, and that's surely because when you're climbing over obstacles and stuff, with this I think this little car lacks a lot of ground clearance with the diffs. You've got very little room there, so you get hung up on all sorts of stuff, I've found anyway. With that other motor, you don't have the wheel speed to get the car over, so when you gun it, the wheels are just going slow and it can't. Whereas when you've got more power, it'll skip about, give the steering a waggle, and pump up, over it goes. With the other motor, it just wouldn't do that. I think if you had more clearance on the tyres and all you were doing is crawling on rocks and that sort of thing, that you knew where you could, you're not going to get hung up all the time, I think the other motor would be an advantage because you do have a lot more control on the throttle. That's my thoughts on that. As it is, it's good. Original 1S battery. I was debating getting a 2S. Don't think it's worth the money. I'm not spending any more money. It's pointless. Just leave it at that. As it is, it's great with the extra power in the servo, the original motor. You have got a little bit more controllability with the speed controller. It's a bit more sensitive than the other one. I think the kit cost us £40 or £42. Is it worth it? In my opinion, no. Don't bother with it. I wouldn't bother for what it is. You get just as much fun out of it, just using it out of the box. So for me, to summarise, it's a great little bit of kit. It's a good bit of fun. Keeps you entertained for ages. You charge a battery up to however long, couple hours, it lasts ages. I've had over an hour out of it of just constant running, leaving it turned on, sitting for a bit, going back, doing a bit more, and it was still charged when I come to finish with it. So what I would say is, for the top things to do with that don't cost an arm and a leg, is obviously you get the car, upgrade the shafts, but when the cross pins are available, buy them. I wouldn't bother with the metal shafts unless that's all you can get, then yeah, but the cross pins are like £5. These were 15 or 16, and in my opinion they're of very poor quality, but they are strong and I can use the truck, so it's it's horses for courses. 6 2 3s, whatever. So yeah, upgrade the shafts, weight the wheels. Obviously it's another common thing with these being bead locked, you can split them. All I did with these, split the wheel, roller solder, just wrapped solder around, and I used some silicone just to secure it onto the actual inner of the inner plastic part of the beadlock. I did do some weights, and I think I added about 8 grams of wheel, something like that. Did make a good difference. Keeps it more planted, trying to go over things, not tipping back, or it helps. And it's, you can buy brass inserts. Again, I don't think there's any in the UK. There's bits from China and all sorts of places. I mean, yeah, you could get them. Say if you like spending money and you like me, like faffing on, great. If not, just a cheap fix is just wrap some solder or something along those lines inside that's got a bit of weight about it, welding rod, that sort of thing. So yeah, upgrade the shafts, weight the wheels, and the last thing I did, which I didn't find out, well, maybe last week, something like that, after messing about, is flip your bumper mount. So here, where the bumper mounts into that cross piece there in the chassis, in between the chassis, undo a couple of screws, so just the chassis flexes, take your bumper out, turn that mount upside down to how I've got it now, front and rear, put it back together, and what you've got to do is you've got to trim the shell. So I just went along the bottom there of the bottom sticker of the headlights, just there. Same with the rear, just about there, and then the shell still fits on nicely. A little bit of a tweak. I don't know if I actually pushed the bumpers in one. I'm not sure. I might have done on the rear, not on the front, but a little bit of playing about. But just increases the approach angle massively. Makes it so much better. It doesn't get hung up on the corners of the bumpers as much. Same with the rear, when you're coming off things, it doesn't get stuck and then you're like trying to get off. So yeah, I think that's about it. Like I say, you don't need to spend a lot of money on it. I have, just because I like to mess about with things and play about with things. I've said before, I would still like some bigger wheels and tyres for this. Maybe off the 18, the 1/18 scale, sorry, model that you can get. I just think the bigger tyre would improve the truck no end, and with these shocks, I suppose I could lift the height a little bit, like wind it up a bit and trim the shell a bit more. But I'm not spending any more money on it. I've already spent a fortune. I ordered stuff from Asia Tees, the shocks, the wheels, tyres, the shafts. Paid an expensive amount of shipping through, I can't remember who it was, and then a day before I received the stuff, I was charged import tax on the stuff. So a handful of small, cheap little modifications cost a lot of money, and I just don't think they're up to that job. It looks good, it goes a little bit better, but as I've said, I wouldn't waste your money. Stick with just reinforcing the original shafts, put some weight in the wheels, and lift your bumpers. Make some cosmetic changes. That's what I would say, and just enjoy it. Don't spend a fortune. You don't need to. It's just it's a little bit of fun, I think. Good for killing some time, passing some time, and just using it indoors, outdoors. You can make great little tracks out of very little stuff. Whereas when you've got the bigger scale crawlers, obviously you need a bigger area, bigger obstacles, that sort of thing. I hope this is of use. Just giving you my thoughts. Other thing I forgot to mention, I've mentioned in other videos, I added sticky weights underneath. It does help. I don't think it makes any difference to like side angles, whether it creates a higher centre of gravity. I don't think it does. It's still pretty low down. It made a little bit of difference. Something or nothing. Don't know. It's worth trying. But yeah, as I say, I hope it's of use. Just my thoughts, my opinions. You might want to fit all the other bits, and you might think they're great and all the rest of it. Great, go for it. But personally, if you're just looking for a bit of fun, just do the basic mods that I've said. You'll get loads of fun out of it. You don't need to spend loads of money on it. And just enjoy it. I'm still enjoying mine. I might do another 1 or 2 videos, but I think I've done enough with it really. I'll just keep enjoying it. I might buy another one, because I quite like these. I've recently bought a TRX4, as you've seen, but I like the smaller scale stuff. It's just more fun. So I might look into getting maybe the axial 24 scale, or I'm not sure the other one. I might get one of the Devastators, or the HBX version, the one where it's got the 4-wheel steer. I might anyway. I might do a couple of videos on that come the time. But yeah, if you like it, great. Give us a thumbs up, all that business. share it if you think it's of use to anybody, and just thanks for watching.